If you would like to support the channel, please consider becoming a patron on Patreon. More information in the description below.
We know well this legend of creation, don't we? It's almost a comfort now. A tale to recall fondly for one another like a bedtime story. When all was chaos, 3 goddesses appeared and brought order. Din, the goddess of power, created the red earth and cultivated the land. Nehru, goddess of wisdom, created order and gave the spirit of law to the world. And then finally, Faror, goddess of courage, created the inhabitants of this new world who would uphold these laws. At the place where the goddesses left this world, for reasons unknowable, they left behind a gift, the Triforce. It was made of 3 parts, representing each of the goddesses: the power of Din, the wisdom of Nehru, and the courage of Faror. That place became the sacred realm, and the divine providence of the goddesses was the foundation of life for the inhabitants of these lands. Another goddess named Hylia decided to stay in this new place, to protect the Triforce and oversee these young creations. And finally, to contain the Triforce and the entrance to the sacred realm, a temple was built. But with the allure of power would come imbalance eventually. A war which was so unmatched in scale that the likes of which would never be seen again. The earth itself cracked open and monstrous beings flooded the lands. It wasn't just its people they murdered, they killed the forests and poisoned its waters too. Death to all. They sought the power guarded by Hylia in the sacred realm. So a terrible and heartbreaking choice had to be made for the good of all that still lived. The Triforce could grant the wish of whoever touched it, so long as their heart was balanced in power, wisdom, and courage. Some legends say an evil heart would be rejected. Others say the Triforce makes no distinction between good or evil. It's far more interesting that morality makes no difference to omnipotence, and it's far more terrifying. So Hylia gathered some survivors of the slaughter to a small landmass and sent it into the sky beyond even the clouds, so the evil beings now in control of the lands couldn't reach them. Eventually from those survivors would come one who would act as the reincarnation of the goddess Hylia many generations later, and a young man who would gather the Triforce and defeat the Demon King who sought the power of the goddesses who brought so much death and doom. But in doing so, the Demon King's very soul became part of the brave knight's weapon, the Master Sword, and a curse was created. My hate never perishes. It is born anew in a cycle with no end. I will rise again. Those like you who share the blood of the goddess and the spirit of the hero are eternally bound to this curse. An incarnation of my hatred shall ever follow your kind, dooming them to wander a blood-soaked sea of darkness for all time. His sword, his name, even his garb was trapped in that moment. He would be courage. He would be the champion of Faror. The reincarnation of Hylia, too, who shared the blood of the goddess, shared that fate, that she would be wisdom, Hylia, and Nehru. And one day, on behalf of the Demon King, the champion of Din. It was prophesied that he would come from the desert, that he would be the king of the Gerudo. As a defense mechanism, the Triforce would split into its 3 parts should someone unworthy try to use it to make a wish. The pieces would either hide themselves away or go into the ones chosen by destiny to possess them. And even if one of the 3 chosen were to touch it, it's almost a certainty that it would split and hide itself away. An imbalanced heart could never hope to control the Triforce, and the trial of bringing it back into one piece could act as a test of one's worthiness, just as it had with the first great hero. But the war that tore the lands apart lingered in the memories of the survivors, so steps were taken to protect the Triforce. Sages appointed to stand guard over the sacred realm, which was locked by the Master Sword as though it were a key. So long as the Master Sword was in its pedestal, the champion of the Demon King too would have a seal upon their power, and the Master Sword itself was physically locked away behind a great door that could only be opened by gaining 3 keys, which were in the possession of 3 leaders of the lands. As the lands became more settled, became known as Hyrule, became more interconnected, the tragic and barbaric acts of the past faded into legend, but there were those who did not forget. Some within the royal family, and those of the Sheikah clan in particular, remained on guard against the one prophesied to come from the desert, the evil king that they feared would seek a way into the sacred realm. But that's a story we know, isn't it? A glorious tale of a boy from the forest, whose mother begged of the great Deku Tree to take him in when she was on death's door. 7 years of life was nearly taken from him to fulfill a role he was given no choice in. But never once did he waver, never once did he relent. He fought the Gerudo King Ganondorf and saw him sealed away, saving the land of Hyrule. As recompense, he was given those 7 lost years back. He was returned to the time that he belonged, given his childhood back. But even then he suffered. He had no home. His only friend had left him. He struggled to come back from the experience that he had gone through. And then Majora. But we're not here to remember those sad stories, because what of adult Zelda? After she sent the hero back home to reclaim those lost years, what of that broken, dark Hyrule? Zelda's kindness created a split in timelines, and it left this timeline without a hero that could hold the Triforce of Courage. Once the hero was gone, it shattered into 8 small pieces and scattered itself around Hyrule. This world's hero was gone, most of its population dead, the land was still covered in demons and monsters. The hero had done so much good, had righted so many wrongs, but there was still so much to do, so bit by bit, reclamation began. But Ganondorf was not a man who would give up so easily. Remember, he was imprisoned, not dead. He fought against his cage. Even if it took hundreds of years, he would break out, and eventually the seal holding him captive began to weaken. Ganondorf emerged from the earth itself and brought terror back to Hyrule. The people prayed for salvation, but no hero appeared. The king of Hyrule decided to leave the fate of the land to the goddesses, and they decided that extreme measures had to be taken. Without a hero, Ganon would only destroy Hyrule. They had to wipe away the world. A great flood was chosen, a torrential downpour from the heavens. To kill all life in Hyrule would be granting Ganon's wish for destruction, so the goddesses picked who would be saved. They were sent to the highest mountain peaks where they would escape the currents and start new lives. All others were drowned with the world along with Ganondorf and his many servants. Hyrule Castle itself was frozen in time at the bottom of the ocean along with the king himself and many of Ganondorf's minions that were storming the castle. His daughter Zelda survived the flooding. She took with her half the Triforce of Wisdom. It would become a precious family secret, passed down from mother to daughter every generation. What once was Hyrule became a collection of islands amidst a vast ocean. The Zora evolved into bird-like folk called the Rito. The children of the forest, the Kokiri, cast away their Hylian forms and became spirits called Koroks. It was a hard, isolating, dead world, but those that survived made do. They found a way forward. New towns and outposts were built, the world mapped out in pieces, travel routes were created, and eventually the hero of time and the Great Flood became legends. Imagine a world not covered in water. What a thought. Evil stirred again after hundreds of years. Now known as the Emperor of the Dark Realm, the very same Ganondorf that fought the hero of time long ago was resurrected, but this time it was not with thunderous violence. He sent powerful beings to steal the souls of the sages that remained. He sabotaged the hero in case they would appear again, and to a great creature he issued a foul order. Find the Hylian girl that would hold the Triforce of Wisdom. Find the descendant of Princess Zelda, even if it meant bringing every Hylian girl it could find to his fortress. If they weren't who he was looking for, they would be disposed of. Ganondorf returned quietly, but it was noticed by the goddesses, and they acted. They awoke the soul of the King of Hyrule, who was frozen at the bottom of the ocean in his castle. His spirit was put into a sailboat, as he would be needed in a great venture to come. The cycle of the curse had begun anew, and though yes, this was the same Ganon from long ago, there would be a new one to wield wisdom, and another chosen hero to wield courage. The hero will need a guide, and he will be that guide in this watery world. Now called the King of Red Lions, he departed with the blessings of the goddesses for a place called Outset Island to find the youth chosen by destiny. Today is a special day for one young guy in particular. His name is Link, and today is his birthday. Soon, he'll have to worry about taxes and body hair. He's napping up in one of the lookouts, being a normal, lazy kid, but also dodging his grandmother, who has sent his sister to hunt him down. Today is also a landmark birthday for him. He is the same age as the child hero from the legends. It's a tradition on Outset Island to dress their youth as the hero on that birthday, but he kinda doesn't want to do it, so he's hiding. Or he was until he fell asleep. His little sister, Errol, hunts him down pretty quick though. She reminds him of the big day, of what it means, and that their grandmother is waiting for him. She's been waiting for a while now, and that he needs to get his buns moving back home. He stops to do a little chatting on his way back, plays with a couple pigs, but eventually has to go see to his birthday responsibilities. His grandma is proud that he gets to wear the garb of the hero, and reflects on how quickly time flies. Link's pouty face isn't really hard to read, but she reminds him that he only has to wear it for one day. And besides, this is something to celebrate. Long ago, this would have marked the day that he became a man. Ugh, that gives me the willies saying that sentence. He would have been taught how to use a sword, how to enter into battle, how to kill a man with his thumbs. But she also reminds him that they don't live in an age like that anymore. Things are peaceful now. The only one on the island that knows how to use a sword is an old man named Orca. But they don't have a sword, they just have an old family heirloom shield on the wall. She is going to make preparations for his birthday party that night, while he continues his socializing, and she asks him to fetch his sister before coming back for his party. Running around for a while to talk to the adults and kids is fun. He gets an earful, or lots of insightful help and wisdom about the world from Sturgeon, gets some combat and sword lessons from Orca. But most of the day is gone now, and it's clear that he needs to collect his sister and get home for his birthday party. She is still up in the lookout, enjoying the spot, waiting for him to collect her. She wants to give him a gift, her most treasured belonging, but only for the day, a very fancy telescope. Even if he doesn't get to keep it, it's a very sweet gesture, and it will be a lot of fun to play with, which he does right away at her behest. She's got to show him how to use it, right? Looks like the Rito postman Quill is dropping off mail, nothing out of the ordinary, everything looks fine. Until Quill looks up and he starts flapping his wings wildly at something in the sky, and Errol screams that something is above them. Link looks up through the telescope and sees it's a massive bird with something in its talon, and it's being chased by a pirate ship shooting cannonballs at it. Several cannonballs. The ship is actually gaining on the beast, and it lands a shot square in its face. It was carrying away a girl, and it drops her into the forest on a higher part of the island. It doesn't seem like anyone but the postman noticed the incident, and both Errol and Link are in agreement that they can't just stand around doing nothing. Errol asks Link to take action somehow, but he'll need a way to defend himself. The only one who could help with that is Orca, but the old man is stringent when it comes to weapon safety. Link runs to the old warrior, asks for advanced weapon training, which he grants, but he senses that there's some deeper anxiety behind all of this. So once Link has proven that he can handle a sword, he gifts him one to keep, a blade worthy of a hero. And without wasting a moment, Link runs up the hillsides of the island towards the forest where that girl fell, hopeful that she survived somehow. And thankfully, she didn't impact anything. She got caught on a branch and is safely floating in the air, still unconscious. There are monsters here that don't belong on this island that the boy does kill. They must be here because of this girl. All the more reason to get her away from all of this. He soon discovers that they're here because ugly, vicious birds are airdropping them in, and soon more will be arriving. The ruckus of his killing does wake the girl up eventually, and her panicked thrashing breaks the branch that she's hanging from. But she's fine, all things considered. Confused and a bit snarky, but fine. One of the men from the pirate ship has made it up the island summit to find her, calling her Miss Tetra. She's intent on getting back to their ship to hunt the bird down that caused all this grief so they can return the favor. Never mind this weird boy in his weird clothes. She wants to get out of here. Errol, too, has made it up the hills of the island and is waiting for them on the other side of the rope bridge, just happy as peaches to see her brother coming back out of the dark forest. And she wasn't the only one waiting for them to come out. That birdly beast has circled back. It had orders to collect Hylian girls for its master, who is searching for one in particular. The bird doesn't distinguish between Errol and Tetra. It sees a girl, it takes one. So, it takes Errol instead. And without thinking, Link rushes off the cliffside after it without heeding that it's already well beyond anyone's reach. Tetra and her sailor catch him. She orders him to wisen up before he gets himself hurt, and they pull him back up to safety, while Errol slowly fades into the horizon. This will devastate Link's grandmother when he delivers the news, and it terrifies him. He demands passage onto Tetra's ship, who insists that he would just be a bother. He would just get in the way. It's unfortunate that his sister's been kidnapped, but that doesn't have anything to do with them now, does it? Which Postman Quill butts in on. It actually very much has to do with them, because if they hadn't come here in the first place, that creature wouldn't have come here. This is, in fact, all their fault. Mr. Postman lays down the law like he is Judge Dredd. He also tells them that because he travels so much between islands for work, he's heard that girls are being snatched up from all around the Great Sea. Girls with long ears, kidnapped and never seen again. Girls just like Tetra, the one who was originally in the bird's talon, who Link saved, right? He also happens to know that the bird is heading north, for the top of the Forsaken Fortress where it's set up its nest. Well, his logic can't be beat, so Tetra doesn't try to outspeech 1000 him. But mention of the Forsaken Fortress does worry her, and she isn't shy about expressing it. She's heard that the Forsaken Fortress is being occupied again, and evil rumors have been swirling about it. Okay, if Link can get himself a shield, then fine, it's his own death sentence. He needs to finish up his business here quickly, because once they leave, he doesn't get to change his mind because he's homesick. First, Errol was taken, and now Link is going to leave. Grandma is going to be very sad. Both her grandchildren gone at once, and she's still preparing for his birthday party that night. When he enters the house alone, she asks where his little sister is, but first he goes for the shield on the wall upstairs. Except it's gone. Grandma already knew deep down that Destiny was going to take her grandson, that he was coming back for the shield, not for his birthday, and not with his little sister. She's beside herself in grief, but still manages to smile and give him the shield, which was said to have been used by a hero long ago. Once Link has the shield, and she says the words aloud confirming that Errol is gone, finally his grandma begins to sob. And heartbreaking as it is, he can't stay to comfort her. It's time to leave the only home that he's ever known. Postman Quill promises that he'll keep him up to date on anything that takes place here, so he needn't worry. It's time to climb aboard Tetra's ship, to wave goodbye to Outset Island, and embrace the dangers to come, for his sister's sake. The final person he waves to is his poor grandmother, who stands on the deck of the house, watching him sail away. Tetra decides to break the ice and test Link a bit by asking if he has an estimate on when his sad goodbyes will be done. It kinda kicks him out of his mood and puts his attention back on what he was doing before. She asks him if he shouldn't just quit now. They can turn around and take him back home. The very notion, the nerve to tease him. How dare she even ask?
This video is supported by patrons on Patreon, YouTube members, and Twitch subs. As a community, we spend a lot of time together, chatting in the Discord, weekly streams, cooking and art streams, and sometimes things get a little bit odd, like that time we designed a Kratos pizza and made it on stream. Without the support of patrons, YouTube members, and Twitch subs, I wouldn't be able to do these projects. Ad revenue isn't always the best, but the community keeps this boat afloat. If you would like to help support these projects, check the description for more information. By the way, the pizza was habanero garlic tomato sauce, spicy gyro meat, red onion, red bell pepper, jalapeno, peppercini, Carolina Reaper cheese, olives, and feta cheese. One of the best things I've ever had in my life. Now, back to the lore.
It's going to be a long trip, so they ordered Link to hang out with a guy named Nico below deck, out of the way and out of sight. No one is outright hostile towards Link, more they're just tolerant of him, barely. Nico is thrilled to see him though, because that finally means there's someone lower rank than him. He won't abuse his newfound power though. He promises to go easy on Link. In fact, he is going to teach him a few useful things about platforming and reaching treasure. Even rewards the new guy with a fancy satchel to hold all the spoils of war for being able to pass a little obstacle course he set up. Nico kinda ends up being the first bud that Link really makes out here. By the time they're done with their training and fun, the ship has reached the Forsaken Fortress, which makes Nico kinda sad. There was so much he still had to show Link. Hard to believe it's already the middle of the night. They'll definitely have more hangout time later. Tetra is waiting for him in the crow's nest and chastises him for playing games with Nico, even though no one said they couldn't goof around while everyone else was working. She orders him to take a look at the fortress, and it's bad news. Clearly it's occupied and being patrolled. There are active spotlights, it's tiered, the beast that took his sister is near the top, so it's going to be hard to reach. Tetra has heard all kinds of rumors about this place, none of them good. A group of pirate competitors used to hold up here, but that doesn't really seem to be the case anymore. Whatever's here now is definitely dangerous. She knows the ship will be spotted as soon as it gets close. They'll have to get Link over the wall some other way. Via catapult. They load the kid into a barrel. Tetra tells him it'll be fine, and they launch him towards the fortress after definitely calculating exactly what force was needed to safely deliver him over the walls. And to their credit, they do get him over the wall. He just directly impacts the side of the interior fortress too, and his sword falls off his back, while he drops to a far lower level. But he's young. He still bounces when he falls downstairs and he wakes up without back pain, and he can probably eat dairy without getting diarrhea. He gets himself to safety at the bottom level of the fortress, weaponless but relatively unharmed. And it turns out, Tetra slipped something into his pocket before launching him so she could keep in contact with him. She does care after all. It's a special stone she can see and speak through to give him insights and warnings on things that she knows a thing or three about. She warns him that if he walks into the spotlights, they'll see him and it will be trouble, so he needs to be smart. Link can solid snake his way through the bulk of the courtyard as it's not heavily patrolled. The interior is where things get a little bit tricky. He doesn't have a weapon, so he needs to go slow, stay hidden, be patient, and go the non-violent route. It is very time-consuming, but he runs into a problem eventually. He gets to the first spotlight, and it's being run by a monster that he has no way of dealing with, so Tetra calls in again and tells him to use his shield to parry it, snap its wrists like a twig, make it drop its own weapon, and then beat it to death with it. Okay, not those exact words, but it's like the same spirit. That will take care of the spotlight issue. He'll still need to do a fair bit of sneaking around, but if he can get to each of the spotlights, he won't have to worry about being blocked from progression. One of them in particular has to be dealt with in order to reach where he thinks his sister is being held. He finally gets his sword back right outside the main doors to the upper complex after clearing almost the entirety of the fortress. But better late than never, right? And inside, he finds a large pen with 3 girls in it, one of them being Errol. Thankfully, they all look unharmed and healthy. But that bird creature isn't about to let its prisoners get broken out. It acts under orders, and it will continue to do so. It takes Link to the one who commands it, a looming, evil figure at the top of the fortress. The man says nothing, gives no hint of emotion, just points his head at the ocean, and the bird throws Link far away into the darkness of the waters. He floats helplessly, surrounded by nothing, and would soon surely sink below the waves. except someone has been looking for him and has arrived at just the right moment. Link awakens hours later to a voice commanding him to pull it together. It's sunny out, he's on something solid, in the shade of an island. Someone put him on a small sailboat, but there's no one around. The voice chimes in again from the sailboat. The figurehead literally turns to face him and starts talking, insulting his intelligence, which is kind of a dick move, bro. He introduces himself as the King of Red Lions and informs the young hero that he's been watching him since he went to the Forsaken Fortress to rescue his sister. He admires his tenacity, but it was foolish to rush in so unprepared. The man that commands the creature that stole away Errol is named Ganon. He twice covered the land in darkness and has twice been desperately sealed away, contained. Now he is called the Emperor of the Dark Realm, and his return means the world is under threat by evil magic once again. If Link wishes to save his sister, that means Ganon must be defeated. He won't be alone, though. The King of Red Lions will help. He will guide and carry him to where he needs to be. But he does warn Link that the power needed to defeat Ganon will only come after much toil and hardship. The young hero fully understands and he agrees to the venture. He meant it when he said that nothing will stop him from saving his sister. So, first things first, the King of Red Lions can't actually go anywhere without a sail. He needs Link to go into the town on this island, get some money, do some bartering, and get him one. Otherwise, they'll just kind of be floating along at the mercy of the currents. This is Windfall Island, the largest commerce hub and town that Link will come across in this venture. He is a long way from home, but this feels like a friendly place to hang out. There are tons of people to meet and chat with, some of them genuinely weird, others as normal and bland as the folks back home, just going about their day-to-day lives. There's a creepy, always smiling merchant that tells him about his ship getting torn apart in a storm, so maybe he has a sail to sell. Except the guy he was with got arrested for looking suspicious, and he's really worried about him, and he would like for him to be freed. Huh. Well, no one said the hero had to be, moral. He's been causing property damage, breaking wrists, and beating things to death, so, sure, why not? He's 12 years old. What are they gonna do? Put him in prison? God, I would be a great mother. There's plenty more exploring to do and introductions to be made. There are places and people that he'll be coming back to visit quite often, but he doesn't really find anything that resembles a prison, at least not in the main square of the town. He does meet the mayor, who is completely distraught. He's lost his daughter. She was taken away to the Forsaken Fortress. She was one of the girls in the pen with Errol. He's asked many others to rescue her, and he's hesitant to ask a boy to try, but he's desperate for someone to rescue his girl, so he asks Link for his help in getting her back. He promises that he'll give Link his entire fortune if he succeeds. Link would have done it for free, but since he offered, sure. Link will take his entire estate in exchange for something he was gonna do anyways. Freaking sucker. The young guy finally finds the prison around the outside of the town, away from where the citizens would spend most of their time. Makes sense that it would be out there. And the prisoner turns out to be the greatest, worst sex icon, pervert, moose-knuckle, weirdo, kink, love god of Hyrule. Tingle. I wonder why he was considered suspicious or a hazard to society. But he probably didn't really get a fair chance, so it's probably not fair that he was locked up here. So yeah, it's probably the right thing to do, letting him out. He wants to go to where Link and his kind live in splendor, because apparently he thinks Link is a fairy. That sure as hell isn't happening. Link gets him out, and Tingle can go fend for himself like a real adult Hylian male. Tingle gives Link a map to where his island is, if he wants to come visit sometime. He can help him decipher charts and maps if he ever gets stuck on something, because apparently Tingle is quite the cartographer and decoder. Who knew? And with that taken care of, maybe Link can go see about a sale now. The guy says that he's starting up a little shop here, but he's having a little trouble funding it, which is perfect. And he has one asset to his name, yes, perfect, which happens to be a sail. No one on the island wants one, yes, and he's willing to sell it for 200 rupees as a favor. That's like 15 frozen pizzas. A sail is not worth 200 rupees. So he lowers it down to 80, which is still a little bit high, but it's more reasonable and it's within Link's budget. He assures him that it is the finest sail in the world, so he buys it. It's finally time to get this show on the road. Link returns to the King of Red Lions and, first up, teaching the basics of sailing. He orders Link to climb aboard, hoist the sail, and take note of the direction of the winds. The direction it is blowing is where they will be going. And right now, it will be taking them east, where they actually do have relevant business to attend to. They quickly find themselves at Dragon Roost Island, home of the Rito people and the spirit of the skies, the dragon Valoo. Red Lions tells Link to go to the Rito people, request permission or aid to see the dragon Valoo, and request Din's Pearl from him. He is also to take with him a baton called the Wind Waker, which was used long ago when music was played in prayer to the gods. He doesn't know if it still holds its old powers, so he asks Link to practice with it. He learns how to use different time signatures to direct the winds into songs. Thankfully, it still holds some power, so he'd best keep an eye out for any melodies from the old world that survived the Great Flood. Dragon Roost is a pretty cool place to explore. A bit more dangerous than, but still reminiscent of home. One of the first faces he sees is Postman Quill. He's happy to see the young guy is okay. News that he found but wasn't able to get Errol back doesn't seem to faze him. He assures Link that he'll be able to figure it out and Errol will hang in there in the meantime. For now, he's going to introduce Link to the Rito chieftain. The Rito people are very concerned about this abduction business and what's taking place at the Forsaken Fortress, so they are going to help. Link follows Postman Quill up to the Rito home dwelling, and there's trouble in the air. Something is wrong with the dragon Valoo. The chieftain, of course, insists that if Link needs anything, to let him know and they'll help, but Link needs to see Valoo, so their problems are interconnected. The Rito way of life is dependent on their connection to the sky, on flight, but they don't actually get their wings until they come of age. When they're old enough, a young Rito will journey to the top of Dragon Roost to receive a scale from Valoo himself, which enables them to grow their own set of wings. But the mountain has become unclimbable. He says that Valoo has become violent and unpredictable. They cannot send their fledglings up to see him. Apparently the chieftain's son, Prince Komali, is about Link's age, maybe a bit younger, and has been struggling with his emotions as of late. His father hasn't been able to connect with him, so he asks if Link would try having a talk with him. Maybe then the boy would open up about his worries. The chief even goes so far as to call his son weak, and worries that he'll give up on getting his own wings, given what's happening on the mountain right now. He directs Link towards the boy's attendant, a girl named Medley, who's holding something that he would like Link to give to Komali for him. Medley is upstairs and looks to be about the same age as Link. Strange that someone so young would be taking care of the prince. She recognizes who he is, though. News of his plight spread through the Rito thanks to Quill, long before he got here. The chieftain wanted Link to give Komali a letter. Looks like, there is some complicated, emotionally distant parenting going on here. Medley warns Link to not get offended by the prince's mannerisms, that he has no bad intentions, and she asks a favor of her own, for Link to meet her at the entrance of Dragon Roost Cavern after he's spoken to the prince. She'll explain more of what's going on with Valoo once he's there. Prince Komali is indeed standoffish, but he's also smart as a whip, and he calls the situation what it is beat for beat. He went through something traumatizing, and his dad is expecting him to just get over it. He's a little guy, and he's scared to approach Valoo now. His dad is comparing him to Link, the hero chosen by a goddess in the letter. And now Link is here, poking his nose in someone else's family business. If Link believes that he can calm Valoo down, then he can go do it. Sure, bragging is easy. But Komali himself is not going to approach Valoo. If Link can get past all the obstacles to the dragon, then he'll listen to what he has to say. Gotta be honest, kinda team Komali on this one. The prince is holding what Link seeks, Din's Pearl. He could just take it by force. This kid is maybe like 20 pounds soaking wet. But Link doesn't operate that way. Shame on you. And Kamali is clinging to it. He won't hand it over until Link earns his trust. So this is going to be done the hard way. Medli asked him to meet her outside the settlement, so that will be his first stop in this mess. And their meeting spot is kinda dangerous, surprisingly. It's where a beautiful spring used to be, until Volu started causing rocks to plummet down from the mountain, which plugged up the water source. She asks Link about how his talk with the prince went. And even if Kamali has had a rough time of things as of late, he hasn't been that bad. It surprises her that he was so hostile towards Link. Up until quite recently, the prince's grandmother was the attendant to the dragon Volu. Only she really knew the dragon's language. Medli was her apprentice and in the process of learning it. The boy was very close to his grandmother, and she was the one that gave him Din's pearl. When she passed, it shook the boy. Medli didn't feel ready to take over as anyone's attendant, but she has done her best. Except very soon after she died, Volu began to rampage, and no one can communicate with him to find out why. She is certain that she can figure it out. She just needs to get close enough to talk to him. Link gives her a toss up the main mountain path, and she continues up the mountain towards Volu on her own, which feels like the exact wrong move, even though she technically is the dragon's attendant now, and it is her job to be doing this. It kind of feels guilt-inducing to just let her go do all the work herself. Doesn't help when Link goes back into the Rito settlement, and Quill mentions that a lookout just reported a girl that looks like Medli got grabbed on a mountain trail by some hideous creature that's probably flaying and cannibalizing her right now. Oh no, Link wouldn't know anything about that, no. Shit. Well, now he needs to get onto that mountain trail too. While exploring outside, on a little landmass on the waters, there's a broken down shrine with music on it. This will be Link's first melody, the Wind's Requiem. With this tune, he'll be able to choose which direction the wind will blow. After he's mastered it, he meets Zephos, god of the winds, who calls Link the new Wind Waker. Zephos is a chill guy and casually congratulates Link, and then explains the functionality of the Wind's Requiem. Also, casually drops a clue about his brother Cyclos, another apparent god of this ocean world who creates water cyclones to torment people. That might be something worth remembering or investigating sometime if Link ever comes across some cyclones in the water. Zephos even encourages Link to do so, and to chastise Cyclos on his behalf as a favor. Interesting hint for something later that he'll have to follow up on. It's cool that he can control the wind direction, but he still can't get up that trail Medli went down. It's too high for him to reach. A Rito in the settlement mentions bomb flowers outside, but they're all dried up, though Medli did give him an empty bottle as a parting gift. So he puts some spring water in it, dumps it on the dried up flowers, makes some fresh bomb flowers bloom, and he tosses one at the rock plugging up the spring. Voila! Dried up spring no more, problem solved. He can swim across now and reach that trail. It's time to save Medli and investigate what has been troubling the great dragon spirit Volu. Getting into Dragon Roost Cavern is kind of a pain, and there is trouble right away. Those creatures the Rito lookout described are familiar to Link. He saw them back home and at the Forsaken Fortress. Ganon is behind all of this, which means Medli is in serious danger, and whatever is harming or interfering with Volu is probably capable of turning lethal if he's not helped. The cavern is Link's first foray into a major dungeon. The Forsaken Fortress was a good warm-up, but this place is the real deal. A misstep or a missed jump here can land him in a molten bath, and with a charred up booty, it's easy to get turned around or lost, so he has to pay attention to his map. There are keys to collect before he can proceed in some areas, which will at times require backtracking. And the environment itself can be an issue or a puzzle to get through, with rooms sometimes taking minutes at a time to get through. But for as frustrating as it can be, there's also a satisfaction to it. It's a feeling that he is going to know over and over again to varying degrees. In combat, getting through blockades, solving puzzles, it all comes together with a payoff in the form of progression. And deep into the dungeon, atop the mountain, Link finds where Medli has been taken. Another girl imprisoned in a pen. Thankfully, she hasn't been actually flayed or cannibalized. She's just fine and patiently waiting. She knows there's a creature in the room ahead that has been hurting Volu, The dragon's tail has been pulled down into the cavern, and it's been hurting him. She's going to venture back down the mountain to tell the other Rito what's been happening. It's going to be up to Link to help the dragon. To aid him, she gives him something the Rito use to get around before they're gifted their wings, a grappling hook. He can use it to climb, to swing, to even pull things up from the seafloor. It's going to make getting across large gaps possible. Medley shows him how to use it, the two of them part ways, Link finishes up his business in the dungeon, and then moves into the final room to confront what has been tormenting the dragon Valoo. The arena is a huge magma pit with boards lining the interior of the chamber. Valoo's tail does dangle helplessly over the magma, but it takes his tormentor a few moments to show its ugly face. This is Goma, and it's hard to believe that something so large could exist beyond the sea of this world. It's been tormenting the dragon, and Link has to somehow kill it. He starts by testing out where its vulnerable spots are, but its body's shell is like armor, and when he throws his hook into its eye, Goma simply closes it to avoid damage. Over and over, Link tries to hit the creature, but he can't do a single thing to harm it. Goma, however, very easily harms him. Then an idea hits him: Valoo's tail. He might not be able to bring the dragon down onto Goma, but he might be able to bring some of the rocks down. Link latches onto Valoo's tail, swings enough to dislodge a massive part of the ceiling, and brings it down onto Goma's head, breaking part of the beast's armor. Not enough to make it vulnerable, but it's a start. Link repeats the process until Goma can no longer shield its eye from his hook. He latches onto it, pulls Goma down to his level, and slashes at it with his sword repeatedly. It only takes a few times before the monster is felled. Finally, Valoo is free from the pain he's been suffering. No longer will the dragon's rage be felt around the island, nor will the Rito people endure hardship from his absence. Link is taken back to the base of the mountain, to where Medley and Prince Kamali are waiting. The prince, though still a bit sullen, is in better spirits and kinder towards Link. He's appreciative towards the hero, and apologizes for his mistrust earlier. He aspires to be braver too, and he wants Link to take Din's pearl, the thing he values most, as his first step in being courageous. Medley lets him know that Valoo is very pleased with him, and that the dragon wants him to use the wind god's song that he learned from the shrine. Prince Kamali is finally going to go visit Valoo to get his scale so he can grow his wings. Medley is going to resume her attendant responsibilities to the dragon and the prince. And it's time for the hero and the King of Red Lions to move on to their next goal. Their next destination will be to the south. The next pearl will be Farore's Pearl, at the forest haven where the great Deku Tree lives. It's a pleasant enough trip, but once the forest is within sight, the King of Red Lions feels something concerning going on. An island adjacent to the great Deku Tree has massive, unnatural black thorns strangling it. There's something not right about that place. Red Lions drops him off near the great Deku Tree, who looks just fine, but warns the hero to go forth with caution. He doesn't like what he's seeing. Predators are all around the spirit of the forest. Just reaching him turns out to be kind of rough going. But once inside the great tree, things are a bit calmer. It appears to be a little oasis from the chaos outside, though it's so quiet in here. This is just the husk, the shell holding what is in actuality the great Deku Tree. When Link draws in close to the spirit of the earth, choo-choos start spilling from his face and he starts freaking out. Link does him a solid. He rolls into him, knocks the choo-choos off, kills them so they can't crawl back onto him. But when the great Deku Tree looks at Link, it's like he's taken aback. When he speaks, Link can't understand a word of it. He's speaking an odd language. Not to worry, though. The Ancient One just lost himself in a moment of longing for the past. He saw Link in his garb, and memories from an era since past came back to him. He wonders if it was the King of Red Lions who brought Link here. If that's the case, then Link is here for Farore's Pearl. And that's why monsters have invaded his woods. Ganon is alive, which means they need to be quick. Hiding about are the children of the woods, the Koroks, the spirits of the forest. Long ago, they were the Kokiri in their Hylian form, but after the Great Flood, they changed, taking on these funny shapes instead. They avoid contact with and they fear outsiders, preferring solitude or each other's company. The Koroks aren't usually here, but Link has arrived just in time to enjoy an annual ceremony that they've all gathered for. Once it's done, the Great Deku Tree will give him Farore's Pearl, but the sudden late arrival of one of the Koroks interrupts the proceeding. They loudly call that something has happened to one of their own, a Korok named Makar. Makar fell into the Forbidden Woods, the island that's gripped in dark thorns. The Great Deku Tree has told the Koroks not to fly near it, but Makar did anyways and he was pulled in. These little spirits are like his children. He cannot abandon Makar, and their annual ceremony cannot go on without Makar. He's their musician. So the Great Deku Tree asks Link, who he knows to be the hero chosen by destiny, to venture into the Forbidden Woods to save Makar. To aid him in reaching the foul place, he gifts Link something that will grant him temporary flight, a Deku Leaf from his own branches. It takes a few clumsy attempts until he gets the hang of it, but this handy-dandy item will work in conjunction with Link's ability to control the winds. If he can catch an updraft and if he has the magic bar to support it, he can go quite the distance. Even better, the Koroks now recognize Link as a friend and will aid him as best they can. Once beyond the safety of the Great Deku Tree and the Haven, when he's in the Forbidden Woods, he's on his own though. This place wasn't always so frightening and evil. Something corrupted it, made it unsafe for the Koroks and drove them out. Natural forest predators live here now, but there's also a few of Ganon's followers. Though natural obstacles and barriers far outnumber the intruders, and these woods are far more difficult to navigate than previous areas. The challenge is more vertical and requires going over gaps with no safety nets. Losing his footing or miscalculating his flights with the Deku Leaf can result in lost progress and frustration. This place is tough, and it feels like the environment itself wants to smother him. After defeating an especially tough opponent deep in the woods, Link finds a very special treasure that will serve him well: a boomerang. He can aim it, hit things, and it will recall, sure, but if he can line it up properly, he can hit several targets in a single throw before it recalls back, making it his current best ranged weapon in his arsenal. Every hour Link spends here is another that Makar is in danger. The Koroks don't especially seem like combat masters, or particularly smart. Who knows what's happening to the little guy? But relief comes when the young hero finds Makar at last, in one piece, sitting atop what looks like a large flower. But on his approach, it's like a head pops out of the center. It opens its mouth wide and it gobbles Makar up whole. This thing pulls itself in, sprouts flowery tentacles, pulls itself up to the ceiling, throws out another set from the bottom that acts as serrated weapons, and then the fun begins. As it is now, this thing can't really be hurt, and if Link stands still for too long, it's gonna attack him from below. So he has to get good at aiming the boomerang while running. He needs to get it off the ceiling by breaking its hold, detaching its tentacles embedded into the rock. There are so many of the little clampers that it'll take 2 or 3 tosses of the boomerang to get them all, and if he's too slow, they'll reattach and he'll have to start all over again. If Link can be quick, it will fall from the ceiling with enough force that it will force the petals to open, revealing the face for Link to smack. He manages to get so lucky with the positions of the creature dropping that he downs it in 2 cycles. Piece of cake, he made it look easy. Makar is of course very grateful to Link for coming all the way here to help him. He was certain that when he fell into the forest that it was going to be the end of him. He sure does know that he's in trouble though. Today's the ceremony. The Great Deku Tree knows that he got himself into this mess, so they need to get back to the Haven quick. And the Great Deku Tree isn't angry at Makar for his poor judgment. He's happy to have the little spirit back home. All is forgiven. And to thank Link, the Great Deku Tree immediately gives him Farore's Pearl. And Makar plays for him their ceremony song. Link gets a front row seat to their annual ritual. They all sing along to Makar's music, and the Great Deku Tree produces that year's seeds, which each Korok flies up to collect. They will all fly across the Great Sea to plant them, to spread new forests, and next year they will return to repeat the process all over again. All this is done in hopes that in the far-off future, the lands will again join together, and so too will the forests that they're creating now. There is one more pearl to collect, to Great Fish Isle in the northwest. It's not too far, but when it draws in over the horizon, the King of Red Lions stops them and asks aloud, "What happened to this place?" Great Fish Isle looks trashed, and there's a large cloud looming over it. Red Lions grieves that they're too late, that Jaboon, the water spirit, isn't here anymore. The postman Quill flies in to intercept them. He comes with news of Jaboon by order of the dragon Valoo. Valoo believes that a curse has been set upon the water spirits. He believes it to be the work of Ganondorf, that shadow in the Forsaken Fortress. But Quill knows that Jaboon was able to escape what had happened here. The water spirit is safe, in a hidden cave back at Link's home at Outset Island. The cave itself is sealed shut with a massive stone slab that will keep just about everyone out. But then Quill has something else to tell them. He was only able to track them down because he asked Tetra and the pirates about where he had been going. They traded information, so the pirates know about Jaboon's location. And as soon as their conversation was done, the pirates set off in that direction. Last he'd heard, they couldn't get into the cave, but they were up to something at Windfall Island. He's not sure what, though. If the pirates know of a way in, Link might need to go intercept them, get whatever they were going to use, and get to Outset Island before they do. Even when they're far away from Great Fish Isle, the storm that surrounded it continues. All the way to Windfall, the rain pours and lightning strikes are constant. Just as Quill said, the pirate ship is docked just outside town. Red Lions advises Link to not approach any of them directly, as they probably won't just offer up information to him freely. They're technically competitors in this now. No doubt they're after Jaboon's pearl. He needs to track them down and eavesdrop. The ship isn't really being guarded, save by one person at the door who only requires a password to get in. The password is an answer to a riddle. The ship's only tooth is a what? He takes a few guesses, assuming that the answer is a singular object and an item attached to the ship, but he can't quite figure it out. So he sticks with the original plan to find the other crew members to spy on them. The storm has driven the townsfolk inside, and the pirates have avoided contact with them, so Link turns his search for them outside the main section of town. First towards that little prison where he found Tingle, then towards an isolated bomb shop that's run by a really unpleasant, price-gouging D-bag. Right now the shop is locked down, but there was a back entrance on an upper level, and look at who it is. Just the crew Link was looking for. Figures that the bomb shop owner would be in trouble with them somehow. They've got him tied up and are stealing some of his stock of bombs. One of the pirates is apologizing to him, explaining that they need his bombs to get a treasure they're after. The man wasn't being reasonable in negotiations, has a monopoly on the market, so they're taking extreme measures to get what they need. I guess when you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. Tetra is also on site, overseeing the thieving, and orders that as soon as they're done loading up the ship, they're going to be setting sail for Outset Island. But a few of the men ask if they can't stay at Windfall for the night, to just enjoy being on shore for a while, as they've been at sea for so long. And Tetra lets something slip. Sure, treasure, pearl, yeah, great, but she reminds them of the destruction they saw at Greyfish Isle. She doesn't want that to happen at Outset too. They need to get that pearl away from there as soon as possible. There will be no layover here. And then she looks up quite suddenly and ooh, she spots Link dead to rights, spying on them. But she doesn't call out his position. This is actually a relief. She is going to get a night off. They're going to stay here and enjoy a night of food and rest. He can do the work. On their way out, one of the pirates loudly reminds another that the password for the ship is barnacle. The ship's only tooth is a barnacle, which I guess that works. It kind of insinuates a singular, even though barnacles tend to be a cluster, but fine. Barnacle. He still needs some of the bomb stock the pirates took, so once they're all on their shore leave, Link heads for the ship, gives the password, and heads below deck. Turns out it's his old bud Nico who's been watching the door, and he is thrilled to see Link again. He was afraid he'd been done in by that big bird at the Forsaken Fortress, but now that he's back, it's time for another hangout session while everyone else is in town having fun. This time, his obstacle course is a bit tougher and it's timed, but the reward is bombs. Nico kind of wasn't expecting Link to be able to get through the obstacle course, but he keeps his word and just asks Link to not tell anyone about it. So, finally Link has them, bombs all his own, and the other pirates are none the wiser. Except he still has that speaking stone that Tetra slipped into his pocket before she launched him into the Forsaken Fortress, so she kind of saw everything that just happened. She has got a whole rack of spice to give about him not thinking things through, about rushing into things head first without considering consequences, and now he's stealing from pirates. She does tell him exactly where Jaboon is and why he can't be reached, that they'll be setting sail for Outset Island first thing in the morning. If he doesn't figure things out by then, well, tough luck. They will get through that stone door if he doesn't. The clock is ticking. He'd better be quick. Link and the King of Red Lions sail as fast as the winds will take them south to Outset Island, all through the night. It's a long trip, but by the time the island is in sight, Red Lions can't help but remark that there's been no passage of time. Morning hasn't broken. It's as if time has been frozen since they left Greatfish Isle, and he wonders if this is part of the curse that Valoo had sent Postman Quill to warn them of. Since night is frozen in place, he takes a little time to himself to tend to his grandmother. She's quite unwell and not herself since he and Errol have been gone. So he goes into the forest to uncover the fairy fountain there and brings her one to see her treated. It gets her back on her feet, and her spirits are lifted in seeing him again. She'll make him his favorite soup whenever he's home, and she puts some in a bottle so he can have it whenever he needs healing or a reminder of home. But once he's done socializing and catching up on home matters, the boat and the hero sail around the island and easily spot where Jaboon is hiding. There's a massive whirlpool in front of a stone slab, complicating their approach. He can't just sail up to the door and launch bombs at it. They have to aim and fire while being pulled in by the currents of the water. At first, it is a little spooky and unfamiliar, but once they realize what's going on and that they're not immediately going to get pulled into the abyss of the ocean, it's kind of fun getting to shoot bombs at the rocks. Once the door is clear, they're free to go inside, and Jaboon swims right up to greet them. Red Lions is able to understand the water spirit, who of course expresses concern at Ganon's return and his recent actions. Red Lions explains that the one with him now is not the legendary hero of time. That one is long gone. There is no connection between them. He promises that this young one has potential, though. Jaboon questions if the fate of Hyrule should really be determined like this, and the King of Red Lions reminds him that this is the only way. Jaboon gifts the young hero Nehru's pearl and acknowledges that it will be up to the gods to deem whether Link's courage is true. Before they depart, Jaboon tells Red Lions that the pearl will dispel the dark sky and the foul rains, which will be part of a never-ending curse that Ganon will cast over the lands if he succeeds. And then he asks Red Lions if he has found the bloodline of Princess Zelda yet, which yes, he believes that he has. Now that they have all three, it's time to take each of them to a specific place. This is part of Link's proving his courage, and another step of his journey. He still has such a long ways to go. The first place marked for Link takes him to a tiny island with a statue on it that lights up at his approach. It issues him an order to place its pearl there. On its forehead is the symbol of Nehru, so he gives it Nehru's pearl. 2 pearls now remain. The next island is not far and is much the same as the last. On this statue's head is the symbol of Furore. He gives it Furore's pearl, which is accepted, and now 1 pearl remains. The last tiny island they reach at nightfall. The statue bears the mark of Din, so Link gives it the final treasure, Din's pearl. After a few tense moments of silence, the statue explodes, casting Link far out into the waters, revealing the carved figure of a goddess beneath the stone. The statue of the goddess Din lets out a light that connects it to Furore, and then to Nehru, and then back to Din, forming a triangle between them. And at its center, from the ocean, a tower rises. Red Lions gathers Link and explains that this tower was a place that the gods prepared as a place to test the courage of men in the ancient world. The one who was able to conquer it was acknowledged as a hero and granted the power to destroy evil. This is the Tower of the Gods, and if Link is to save this world, he must prevail here. He will battle the power of the gods, but he too must borrow that power, Red Lions tells him. The environment is going to work against him, but he has to force aspects of it to his advantage to make progress here as well, which at times will require some creativity, like making walkways out of boxes for himself, remembering pressure pads that need weights on them in previous areas, or figuring out ways to use the rising and lowering waters to get around. And that's just the first section of the tower. This place is massive and continually expands on previously used mechanics. Partway up the tower, he even learns a new song, the command melody. It will allow him to temporarily take control of other beings, adding another layer of complexity to certain puzzle mechanics in some of the rooms. And at times, he'll have to see solutions from two perspectives. Thankfully, it never gets too wild, though combat does escalate quite a bit with the introduction of certain armored enemy types. Hard to believe that this was the same kid that was sleeping the day away on their birthday not so long ago. Now he's cutting the armor off a foe 5 times his size, wielding a sword meant to cut through bone. Link gets a powerful upgrade to his arsenal here, the Hero's Bow. He only has one arrow type for now, and aiming will take some getting used to, but this thing is going to be far more effective in combat than the boomerang. Things feel easier with this thing at his disposal too. Enemies at range are simpler to cut down, so he's not so at risk of being knocked off platforms or losing progress. It's not long until he's at the top of the tower, entering the final set of doors, facing the big bad that has been waiting for him. Unlike the dungeon finales that Link has faced before, this presence doesn't feel evil. It's a challenging presence, of course, but it's not menacing. It's here to test him. This mechanical being is a fair opponent who will not put Link into a situation that he cannot win. Arrows are required against it, and should the hero run out, more will be provided. What is being tested isn't his quiver size, it's his ability to fight, his heroism, his bravery. The young one shoots at the eyes on the being's hands, then the gems in its eye sockets, then throws bombs into its mouth, all while dancing around the arena to avoid taking damage. It slaps, pounds, swings, lobs explosives, making for an exciting encounter that really does test Link's abilities after such a long ascent through the tower. His victory is something to be celebrated. When the being is defeated, it exclaims that the path can be opened to him, that what is to come is fate, tied to the path that he has chosen. Link climbs to the top of the tower and rings the bell at the top before diving back to the waves below. At the base of the Tower of the Gods, a portal has been opened. What's beyond is a point of no return for Link and for another, someone who, unlike himself, does not get a say in the part that they have to play. This is Link's first step into the drowned world beneath them, where his next trial will begin. Hundreds of years ago, in a desperate attempt to contain Ganon, the gods flooded Hyrule and froze the kingdom itself in time. The evil emperor had broken out of his prison, his rampage across the lands had resumed, and there was no hero to stop him. He had been sent back in time to another era. Only a few were chosen to survive the flood. The king decided to stay in the frozen kingdom. His daughter, Princess Zelda, made it to the surface with a fragment of the Triforce of Wisdom, which became a family heirloom. This is what remains of Hyrule, frozen in time. The King of Red Lions tells Link that there is just not enough time right now to explain everything to him, but there's an item in the castle that he needs to find, and once he does, things will start to make sense. The castle interior feels like a snapshot of someplace he doesn't quite belong in, yet it's been waiting lifetimes for him. the minions of Ganon that were invading the castle are still trapped in time. Artwork of the royal family are intact on the walls, and the legendary hero that Princess Zelda sent back in time so he could live his full and proper life is honored in statue form. That act of kindness cost this timeline everything, as there was no hero to oppose Ganon when he broke free from his prison. It took hundreds of years for it to be corrected, so that he could be here now. Red Lions told him to find something here. He chimes in to let him know that it's in the basement, but it takes some puzzle solving to figure out how to get in. Beneath the castle is a small shrine of sorts, decorated in stained glass that hints at a story of sages, of a beast seeking 3 golden triangles, and at the center a pedestal holding a sword. It's called the Master Sword, the blade that holds the lingering remnants of the original ancient Demon King himself, the only thing that can banish Ganon. The young hero is able to draw the sword from its resting place, and in doing so, time is unfrozen. Unbeknownst to the hero, the Master Sword is a double-edged blade. In drawing it, the seal upon the power of the champion of the Demon King has also been broken. Ganon's power, too, is now unbound. The enemies that stalked the castle resumed their pacing above as though nothing ever happened. With a new blade in hand, Link needs to clear them out, every single one of them. It's a nasty room, and if he's not careful, he can get swarmed. But he can't leave until everything in here is dead. Though it takes a while, he fights his way back out of the castle, out to where the King of Red Lions is waiting. Now that Link has this sword, their business here is concluded. They need to return to the surface, return to the Forsaken Fortress to face Ganon. This time, there's no sneaking into the fortress. They blow the front gate into pieces and sail straight in. Though Red Lions cannot accompany Link, he encourages him. So long as his sword is in his hands, nothing can stop him. Ganon is well aware that the hero has returned and will be sending his phantom to stop him, but it proves to be inefficient. Link discovers a new massive hammer in the fortress, unlocks previously blocked off areas, and makes progress far faster than his last time here. At the top, he enters into the tower where Errol and the other girls are being held, expecting that giant bird will be watching and waiting. He has to go in quietly. Thankfully, there are no additions to the pen, and all the girls are still in good health. It is so good to see Errol again. Though he doesn't stop to reassure or speak to her, he gets right to trying to open the pen, which he just can't seem to do. But surprise, surprise, Tetra and a few of her pirates have followed him. The bird hasn't appeared because of them, not because he's been so sneaky. They drew it off. The sword Link has, Tetra recognizes it from stories passed down through her family. How does he have it? Well, never mind that for now. What's more important is getting these girls out of here. The pirates will take them and see them return to their families and see to the ransoms that their fathers were offering, which is kinda lame, since the mayor of Windfall was gonna make him filthy rich. But there's a particular bird and evil emperor that needs to be dealt with, and Link is the hero of the story, so it's up to him to handle that. Tetra will make sure that Errol is well taken care of. Link is back to flying solo now. Their departure is none too soon. That bird is already back. When it's aware that he is in the tower, a defense mechanism is triggered. The doors are locked down, and water starts flooding in. He can't fight this creature in these sorts of conditions. He doesn't have time to stop, the angles are too awkward, so he bolts for the roof instead, where the bird has built its nest. Turns out to be a bit of a gauntlet up the path. Ganon's minions try to impede him. The bird breaks the planks he's running on or tries to knock him off, and when he does reach the top, it tries to outright block him with its body. He has to crush its face with his new massive hammer to get it out of the way, but that wasn't nearly enough to actually stop this thing. If he does not kill it, it will continue kidnapping girls for Ganondorf. He's looking for one girl in particular, and if he has brought the wrong one, they'll just be disposed of until they find the right one. Though it's a frightening, powerful beast, it is also a stupid one. Link can easily fool it into getting its own armored face stuck in the ground, where he can hit it with his hammer, breaking off bits of its armor until it's exposed enough for him to hit its vulnerable flesh. It doesn't change its tactics, doesn't try to re-armor, doesn't try to retreat. After several intense minutes of combat, the hero puts down the thief. And now he's unopposed entirely. Ahead is Ganon himself. Ages passed. Ganondorf was a politician who knelt before the king of Hyrule and swore loyalty, purely so he could get closer to the temple that held the Triforce, locked away in the sacred realm. He waited patiently until the hero himself opened it for him, then tried to take it by force, causing it to split, but taking power for himself. He was in truth visceral and violent, evil to his core, but also patient and cunning. And here he stands now, tempered, as though time has brought balance to his heart. He greets Link as though he were the old hero of time, and commends him for his reckless courage. Ganon explains to Link that when he drew the Master Sword, he broke a very special seal of power that was on him. The blade still contains what little remains of the ancient Demon King, and in breaking that seal, Ganon too is more powerful now. In another display of that reckless courage, Link tries to rush Ganon with the blade, but he is easily pushed aside. How easy it would be to run the boy through now, but he doesn't. There is still a wish in Ganon's heart, and he needs this boy to do some work to make that possible. He mocks that the blade is powerless, that it's useless. Instead, he tells the boy to return to the world below, to tell the fools who made the blade that its power is gone and its edges are dull. Tetra has looped back, because of course the knucklehead has gotten himself into a predicament. Ganon has far less patience for her interruption than for Link, and gets her into a chokehold when she's in range, but oh, how interesting fate can be. This is just the girl he's been looking for. She's wearing her family heirloom around her neck, a piece of the Triforce of Wisdom, and he can sense it. She may not carry the name in this life, but he knows her as the bloodline of Princess Zelda, so that's who she is in his eyes. Tetra knows the name, she knows the stories, but she tries to feign ignorance, but there's no point with Ganon. This could be disastrous, but there are still beings in this world looking out for those who oppose Ganon. Valoo has arrived with 2 of his Rito to retrieve Link and Tetra, and the dragon himself burns Ganon's hideout. A little fire isn't going to stop Ganon, but it will give them an opening to get the 2 young ones to safety. No one is equipped to handle the wielder of power right now. The King of Red Lions knows that Ganon is trying to make the Triforce whole again. He has power, he knows that Link is capable of holding courage, and now he knows where wisdom is. This is a disaster, and he can't keep Link and Tetra in the dark about it. They all gather back at the Tower of the Gods to discuss what happened and what went wrong. Tetra's out cold, but will be fine. Valoo laments and reminds them that not even he can harm Ganondorf. He and the Rito have no more business here. They depart from the tower and leave these 3 to their important tasks ahead. Red Lions orders Link to take them back down to the world beneath the sea. Tetra must go with them, back down to the castle. They can hide down there until she regains consciousness. The last thing they want is for Ganon to find them right now. The girl awakens eventually, asks Link if he's alright, expresses confusion at what's taken place since the last thing she remembers was being choked out by Ganon. But remember that stone she was using to talk to Link through? Well, someone else is on the other line, and it's clearly not Tetra, and she has a bit of lip with them for using something that doesn't belong to them. But the voice tells the duo they both need to come and see them at once, in the castle, down in the basement. Things inside are calm, just as Link left them, so they head downstairs, and there's a man waiting, wearing a long red coat. Tetra is irreverent, of course, demanding to know how he was talking through the stone, and he humors her, explaining that it was a version of the royal family's gossip stone from old Hyrule. He made it. Neither of them have heard that story, so he asks if they've not heard the story of the great hero and the place where the power of the gods was hidden away. That is this place, Hyrule, the very place they're standing. And he is its king, Daphnis no Hans in Hyrule. who has for so long been frozen in time, whose spirit has journeyed beside and guided Link as the King of Red Lions. So long as the Master Sword could strike down Ganondorf, he did not need to reveal himself. He hoped that he wouldn't have to, but things have proven to not be so simple. Sadly, the pieces of the Triforce must be put into play for this journey to continue. The king tells them the story of the flood and why this world is so very broken apart right now. Their ancestors were the survivors of that terrible era, and now it falls to them to continue that seemingly eternal fight. Tetra, who did choose to aid Link out of goodness and is now here out of an obligation to her bloodline, is told to step forward. He takes her necklace and shows her the second part of the Triforce of Wisdom. Her mother passed it down to her with instruction to guard it, just as her mother did to her. The king tells her precisely what the Triforce is, and that she must abide the laws of the past. She was born into this fate. It's the reason she's alive. He combines the two parts, making the relic whole once again, putting her into the garb and emulating the appearance of the ancient princess from long ago, as though to erase her identity as Tetra, to make her something she has never been, Princess Zelda. The king even calls her that. He then apologizes to Link for being caught up in all this, and tells the hero that Ganon will now be searching for Tetra in an attempt to seize her power. He will return to the boat, resume his role as the guide of this journey, and before Link departs, Tetra apologizes for the whole bird thing back at Outset Island. She really does feel some responsibility for him getting pulled into it, but he's fine. He chose to be here. She'll stay here alone, hidden away under the castle, while he and the King of Red Lions take on a new venture. If the Master Sword has lost its power, that means that something has happened to the two sages who gave it power. They need to go to their temples and find out what. One is to the north, the Wind Temple, and the other is to the south, the Earth Temple. They have to sail across the ocean to reach the temples, but before they head out, the king tells Link a story about the hero of time. When he fought Ganon long ago, he had the Triforce of Courage, but when he was called away to another journey, he was separated from it, and it shattered into 8 pieces as a result. Those shards spread all across the sunken land. The King of Red Lions does not know where all the pieces are, so they're going to need to find someone who knows about things that lie hidden in the depths of the sea. For the time being, they sail the ocean, heading north first, looking for leads, deciding to stop in on Windfall Island to see if they can get some information there. The ocean doesn't offer anything other than choppy weather, but when they're near Windfall, the mailbox is wiggling for him. That means he has mail. The first piece is from Granny, who's checking in to make sure that he's getting enough to eat. The second piece requires 201 rupees to receive it. Cash on delivery only. It's highway robbery. He has no choice but to pay up, unless he wants to be left forever in the dark about the mysterious parcel, which turns out to be something called an incredible chart from Tingle, that bastard, that money-hungry, moose-knuckle greedy smegma bastard. Tingle had mapped out locations for the Triforce shards and Triforce charts. Somehow. Okay, it was only 201 rupees. The future of the world was worth 201 rupees. No one can be too upset over Tingle making a little extra money on top, right? At least now Link knows where he needs to be going. Link heads up to the northernmost temple first, the Wind Temple, to see what's going on with the sage there. But, well, he runs into a major problem. He can't even get into the temple. There's a constant gust of wind pushing out from the entrance. He tries everything, but he has to admit defeat. He can't even get close to it. He must be missing a key piece of gear needed to get inside. So maybe he needs to start at the southern temple first. On his way south, he stops at some of the Triforce shard locations on the Incredible chart. And, well, he runs into the exact same problem. It's like he doesn't have the gear he needs to accomplish something at every single location. And then at the Earth Temple to the south, there's a huge rock covering the entrance that he could never hope to lift on his own. It's just the strangest thing. It's like somehow he missed a key piece of information or a really important quest line. But Red Lions doesn't know what the problem is, and he can't remember missing anything major. He sails around for a few days, talking to folks at Windfall. He stops in to see his grandmother again for a bit. He does a little fairy fountain hunting and some exploring. It's not until he's sailing late into the evening when they spot a large water cyclone, and Link remembers Zephos, god of the winds, who taught him his first song. Zephos had asked him to chastise his brother, Cyclos, for being cruel to people if he spotted any water cyclones in the ocean. Drawing close to the cyclone, Cyclos does indeed pop out and starts taunting the two of them, and he threatens to blow them away with his wind's wrath. Instead, Link turns him into a pincushion by forcefully inserting a number of arrows into his body from long distance. Cyclos is actually pretty impressed with it, and he chills the attitude rather than double down or retreat. Link has proved that he's quite the Wind Waker, so he's going to teach him a new song, the Ballad of Gales. This melody will allow Link to teleport around the sea, using the cyclones of this god. The two of them use the song to teleport around the ocean, seeing if it'll drop them anywhere interesting, and their curiosity pays off. The song delivers them to the middle of a hidden fairy island, and the being he finds there is, well, kind of creepy. It's got a killer little girl vibe about it. But she likes Link, so she gifts him something special. Arrows imbued with fire and ice. He can now melt or set things on fire. Or he can freeze them solid. These definitely have to be some of the items he'll be needing to get Triforce shards, but these alone won't get him very far. Now, while he was exploring, he did spot a few islands that he could use these arrows on. One was actively spewing out lava, and the other was covered in ice. He decides to check out the lava island first, and sure enough, the ice arrow stops the flow for a bit, but only for 5 minutes. He has to hurry up the rocks, into the cavern within, kill everything inside, which in itself is a massive pain because it's not as easy as just hitting them with his sword. But his reward for beating the timer is an answer to one of his problems. He gets power bracelets, which will allow him to lift extremely heavy objects. This will get him into the Earth Temple to the south. But first, he'll go to that icy island to see what he can get there. It's the same kind of deal. He brings down an icy barrier surrounding it with a fire arrow, and he has 5 minutes to get inside, which is a slippery process. But he doesn't have to worry about killing everything before claiming his reward, which are iron boots. Wearing these, he won't get thrown about by those heavy winds anymore. This is how he'll get into the Wind Temple to the north. Seems like it took forever to figure all of this out, but he's finally ready. Link decides to go south to the Earth Temple to see what has become of the sage that was meant to reside there. Lifting that stone and throwing it aside feels amazing. The young hero tosses it aside like it's a pebble and strolls inside. But what greets him isn't really what one might have expected. It's an altar of some sort, with what looks like music transcribed onto it and a harp above it. Kinda reminds him of the harp that Medley always had with her. The Wind Waker learns the song, Earth God's lyric, and the one who once prayed here as the Zora sage of the Earth Temple responds. They tell the hero that for an age they stayed here, praying that the power to repel evil would remain within the Master Sword. When Ganon was resurrected, he sabotaged the hero by stealing the souls of the sages, so the Master Sword would hold no power against him. There's no hope for this sage. To correct this, a new sage must be found. There is no other way. He must find someone who carries their bloodline, who carries the same sacred instrument. After the Great Flood, the Zora had to adapt. They could not survive in the waters of the sea, so they evolved into the Rito. His initial thought about the altar was correct, Medley. He needs to go speak with her, as she was the one holding the harp. Link is instructed to play the new sage, the Earth God's lyric. It will open their eyes and awaken them. This altar is actually a door, and it will only open when the sage plays that song. Well, hopefully this isn't something she's unhappy about. Medley's life is about to take a hard right turn. Link and Red Lions immediately set sail for Dragon Roost Island to seek out the girl. It seems that in the time since he was there last, Prince Komali has flourished, and Medley has done well attending to the prince and the Dragon Valoo. She stands outside on her own, overlooking the sea, practicing her harp when he approaches, and she's glad to see that he's well. She gives him a brief update on how things are at the island and what she has been up to. Her life here seems to be everything she could ever want. She's proud of Kamali's growth and is dedicated to continuing her own journey. As he was instructed to do, Link plays for her the Earth God's lyric, and she immediately feels that it's familiar, that something within her is trying to wake up. The feeling knocks her clean out. She needs to have a private audience with her ancestor. In her vision, the old sage plays the full melody for the girl and expectantly looks down at her, patiently waiting while Medley plays it back to her without missing a beat. The two of them play through it together until the relic of the goddesses appear, then the legendary Master Sword itself, as through her song, half the power of the Master Sword will be returned. When the vision ends, Medley understands everything she was shown. She has been awakened as the Sage of the Earth Temple, and she is thrilled that there's something she can do to help this world. She asks Link to take her to her temple, where they must wake the power to repel evil within the sword. As though to signify that it's okay for her to leave, they spot Prince Kamali flying overhead with his new wings. They're going to leave quietly, so the prince can remember her fondly as a simple attendant. This is the first time he sailed in the boat with company that wasn't just red lions. It's a bit cramped, but they don't have to go far. They don't waste any time with side ventures or distractions. It's a straight shot to the temple, and once they've arrived, Red Lions instructs Medley to stay close to Link while they're in there. The temple has been infested with an evil creature of Ganon, making it a dark and frightening place. Medley fulfills her first duty as the sage of this temple and gets the doors open for them with the Earth God's lyric. And then comes a tough descent through a dark place indeed. It's not a modest building of purpose or worship like the Temple of Time once was. It's more akin to the shadowy place the Sheikah once used as a prison beneath Kakariko Village during the era of the Hero of Time, though not nearly as bloody. Or perhaps the Spirit Temple of the Desert near the Gerudo homelands, the place that birthed Ganondorf himself. Link and Medley have to work together to make it through these halls, sometimes physically having to carry one another over and across obstacles. Here, Link obtains a powerful upgrade, the Mirror Shield, which will allow him to reflect beams of light to other locations, more closely tying this place back to the mythos of the Spirit Temple of old. Link and Medley still have a long journey ahead after it's obtained, through halls of the dead, complex puzzles, and poisonous environments. When they finally stand before the doors of the creature that dominates this temple now, it's after Link's hardest-fought journey thus far, and Medley has proved herself to be one of the bravest beings he's ever encountered. She's never backed down or questioned her purpose here. She's not a fighter and won't be able to go with him into the final room to assist, but she will be waiting for him and is certain of his victory. Awaiting Link on the other side of the door is more than a dozen ghastly Poes, who are the many parts of one greater being. They all come together to form Jalhalla, the one sent by Ganon to steal the soul of the sage, to end their prayers empowering the Master Sword. Link can't even touch Jalhalla until he lights them up, literally. It's only initially vulnerable to beams of light. Once it's been hit enough with light, he can approach, but its body is still too thick to take damage from his weapons, so Link picks it up and throws him at the spike columns on the wall, which breaks Jalhalla into its smaller Poes that are far more vulnerable to a sword. It takes a few more rounds of breaking Jalhalla up, then chasing around some of the Poes, and all is set right. The Earth Temple is cleansed of what has been plaguing it. Now Medley can do what she has been tasked with, empowering the Master Sword. Her simple song will be her prayer and offering. It's all that is needed to return what is rightfully the Blade's. With the Wind Waker joining her, Medley plays the Earth God's lyric at the symbol of the Triforce, where the Master Sword rests in the center, undoing part of Ganon's damage. It's half of what is required. There's one more step to take before it is restored to its proper form. Medley will remain here, continuing her music and prayers to ensure their work is not undone, while Link returns to the surface to venture north to the Wind Temple. Before he departs, her last request is that he watches over Prince Kamali for her. They make it north to the second temple in no time, thanks to the fast travel of the cyclones. And now that he has those iron boots, getting up to the entrance is no issue. Once inside, he's faced with a scene much like the Earth Temple, a door that looks like an altar, with a song to be learned and an instrument above it. This time, it's a fiddle. He remembers a certain Korok having one of those. So that troublemaker Makar could be a sage, huh? The smallest ones sometimes turn out to be the mightiest. The song on the door is a lovely melody called the Wind God's Aria, and who appears after he plays is one of the Kokiri of the Old World, the Koroks before they abandoned their Hylian forms after the Great Flood. His name is Fado, and he too was a sage for ages until Ganon returned and sent a terrible being to steal away his soul and corrupt the temple. If Link wants to restore the Master Sword, he needs to find the one in this world who holds the same instrument he has and play the Wind God's aria for them. He knows just where to go and what to do. Link and Red Lions speed their way back across to the island of the Great Deku Tree, and they can hear the music of Makar as soon as they land. The little guy is a voracious musician. The exterior of the forest isn't very safe for a little Korok to be hanging out, so he is safely practicing away behind a waterfall. He expresses excitement to see Link and surprised that he was able to find him hidden away down here, clearly not aware of just how loud his music really is. He is down here practicing a new song for next year's ceremony, and seeing Link's baton gets him even more excited. He asks the Wind Waker to conduct something. So Link directs him on how to play the Wind God's aria, and while Medli was granted a vision in her own mind, Makar's vision is shared with Link. Fado appears as Makar, as though they were the same being, and plays a round of the song with the Wind Waker. When it's complete, Makar returns, knowing himself fully and truly as the Sage of the Wind Temple. It is his fate to return the power to the Master Sword. Though invisible, as the Koroks are fearful of others and avoidant of the outside world, Makar sails with them to the north, excitedly awaiting his destiny as the new Sage of the Wind Temple. Once at the island, Red Lions tells them with confidence to go forth and discover Makar's role to play in all of this. Just as Link did with Medli, the two of them will get through this with cooperation. The Wind Temple is a bit more frustrating when it comes to physical obstacles and puzzle solving than the Earth Temple was. Makar is a delightful presence and he's eager to help, but the temple itself pushes the boundaries of one's patience. If he hasn't upgraded his magic pool, some areas can be a little testing, or if he runs out of items, he may have to go searching for refills before continuing. Losing progress because he loses altitude or gets knocked off something isn't uncommon, and sometimes Makar just doesn't quite keep up and can force Link to backtrack to fetch the little guy. Hard to stay mad at him though, he's just so darn cute. The unexpected addition of a new piece of gear makes up for it all in the end. Link obtains the hookshot here. This will allow him to latch onto and pull himself towards faraway targets. That's gonna help him a lot with getting around. He can reach previously unreachable ledges, and sometimes it just makes things plain easier, less random jumping and floating. He can even use it as a weapon if he times it carefully. The creature that took the soul of Fado is hard fought to reach. It takes everything Makar and Link have to reach the massive chamber containing the beast, which only the hero may enter, as Makar does not have the prowess to face off against such a foe. Within its arena is a field of sand, which ripples and shakes when he steps onto it. From the center, a massive creature called Molgera emerges, flying through the air barely contained within the room, before submerging back into the sands. If Link stays stationary, Molgera will try to get under him to attack from below to eat him. Though thankfully, it's so large it's easy to tell where it's coming from, so it's easy to dodge. In its mouth, there's a large, vulnerable tongue-like appendage that is soft and vulnerable, unlike its hard-shelled exterior. When Molgera emerges, the tongue is exposed for a few moments, giving Link a chance to use the hookshot on it, to pull it towards himself for a few hits. If he tries to just run in to swing at it, Molgera will chomp at him. He has to pull the appendage out to damage it, and each time he does this, Molgera will send out wormy creatures to get in the way, messing with his aim and acting as chip damage if he just ignores them. Eventually, Molgera will start flying around as well, trying to aim and dive into Link instead of hitting from below. Molgera is a chaotic encounter, but an enjoyable challenge that makes up for the punishing frustration of the temple.
After several minutes and rounds of spirited combat between them, the hero puts down Ganon's terrible creature. Mulgara is defeated, freeing the Wind Temple from its clutches, finally making possible the final step in this part of Link's journey. Knowing exactly what to do, and clearly thrilled to do so, Makar runs to where Link waits, before the symbol of the Triforce, where the Master Sword is settled and ready. The Korok gets his instrument without sparing a single moment, and Link takes his cue to begin directing him as the Wind Waker. The two of them play the Wind God's aria before the Master Sword, and Fado again appears, this time to play alongside the new sage, before departing for whatever awaits him. The prayer, the offering, works, and the Master Sword is fully restored to its previous state as the Blade of Evil's Bane. As Medley did, Makar will remain in the temple, continuing to pray. Link must depart, he must return to the surface to continue his own journey. News has come to the King of Red Lions that the Forsaken Fortress has been completely abandoned. It does not make the old king happy, though, it rather troubles him. Ganon is making a move, and not knowing where the Evil One is troubles Red Lions greatly. He's worried about Tetra, Princess Zelda. Power and wisdom are both in play. The Triforce of Courage is still in pieces, spread about the sea. Now begins the long process of finding all 8 shards and making it whole again, and these first steps are all thanks to, well, Tingle. Some of them are hidden away within what looks like sanctuaries or prisons, meant to keep others away from the shards. They require Link to fight his way through rooms of foes to obtain his prize, and some of them are only reachable with special equipment that he's obtained during his journey. Some of the areas marked on the Incredible chart don't actually lead to a Triforce shard, they lead to Triforce charts, which need to be deciphered by, you guessed it, Tingle, and of course, he won't do it for free. Link needs to collect hundreds and hundreds of rupees as he goes to bring to Tingle, so he'll show him where the other Triforce shards are on the chart. Even if Link thinks he can figure it out himself, that doesn't matter, he has to take them to Tingle. Link finds himself in strange hidden forested caves. He becomes the owner of an island cabana with a mysterious series of tunnels beneath it, because apparently that's the only way that you get a house these days or property is you just meet somebody who's really old and you just hope they like you a lot so that when they don't want the property that they bought for like $5 back in the 40s, they can just give it to you because they don't really care about it anymore. No, I'm not bitter that I'll never have a house or a family. He fights sea creatures, does deep sea treasure hunting with red lions to fish up treasure chests. They even find themselves hunting a ghostly pirate ship at the dead of night, which contains one of the Triforce pieces. When at last, after days of hunting, he finds the final piece, the Triforce of Courage completes itself, making one solid relic. The last one to hold it was the Hero of Time himself, hundreds of years ago, before he was sent back in time by Princess Zelda after they defeated Ganon. Now, Link has that honor. With this finally done, they must return to Hyrule beneath the waves. The two of them go back to the Tower of the Gods, and Red Lions directs him to hold out the Triforce to show it to the gods. In doing so, he is confirmed as the true hero of this era, and the Triforce of Courage is placed into his body. He will now be blessed with the power of the gods and will be known as the Hero of the Winds. Together, he and the King of Red Lions return to Hyrule beneath the waves. Nothing is immediately amiss outside the castle, no rivers of lava or pools of blood, but within, the statue of the Hero of Time is destroyed, and the door down to the basement is wide open. Link bolts down to where they left Tetra, but at his approach, she is whisked away. Ganondorf's voice echoes through the chamber, telling him that they have been fooling themselves, thinking that they could be safe in this castle. His powers are no longer limited, and now it's the hero's turn to fall into an eternal slumber. He drops 2 particularly vicious foes into the once sanctuary that do nearly down the hero, but after dispatching them, he heads out to the gates of the castle.
There's been a bubble around it preventing him from leaving, but now he needs to get out. He needs to find where Ganon is in this new land. Using the empowered Master Sword, he strikes the barrier, bringing it down. He has never been on land that stretched so far before. He can see rolling hills and even mountains in the distance. If he went far enough, he may not even be able to see water anymore. Indicators that he's going the right way appear when he runs into some of the minions of Ganon that left the Forsaken Fortress. They came here to guard the roads. Link spots a dark tower in the distance. He fights up the road, leading to a broken bridge into a mountain. The path takes him to the base of the dark tower. This is Ganon's tower. The main entrance isn't locked to the hero. He's welcome to enter. But the heart of the tower won't be nearly as simple to reach. It's locked by 4 mechanisms, and if the hero wants through, he'll have to play by Ganon's rules, by fighting Ganon's strongest creatures all over again. He must reach and fight the creature that so tortured the dragon Valoo. Then, the tentacled monstrosity that tried to consume Makar, which corrupted the woods near the forest haven of the Great Deku Tree. Somehow, Jalhalla feels so much harder to handle this time around when he revisits the Earth Temple finale. And finally, a rematch with Mulgara, who is just as wily and unpredictable as before, yet still a delightful challenge. Defeating each of these foes unlocks a way into the heart of the tower, where the final stretch of this hero's journey will take place. And things get confusing for a while. Link cannot proceed, as there's another locked door before him, so he enters a side room that seems to be bare of anything of note. It's a plain room with a pool, so he goes to the other side, but there's a dark hole with some lights around the room. The King of Red Lions contacts him through the Gossip Stone to give him a hint. Remember the appearance of this room. Everything about it will be the key to solving the riddles that lie ahead. Okay, so Link takes a while to note every detail he can about it, from every angle and aspect possible, but there are so many odd things about it that it's a bit overwhelming. There's a stone in the corner of the room, with words etched into it that reads, "The sword hilts of my servants, who lurk deep in the darkness, shall be the guideposts that point to me." Now wait a goddamn second. Link takes a plunge into what looks like an abyss and finds that there is a solid floor not too far down. He didn't need to remember anything about that room, only what was on the tablet. He's gently delivered onto the ground, into a room with 4 doors, and then he's ambushed by the Phantom. This guy is tough, requiring that back and forth volleying of the Phantom's energy attack to bring it down to the ground so Link can smack it. When it fades away, it drops its sword, and its hilt points towards the door that he is supposed to go through. If he's patient and he follows the pattern for a while, he is rewarded with a precious item, the light arrow. Not clear why Ganon would put something like this within the reach of the hero, seems like a bit of an oversight, because these arrows can pierce pure evil itself, and were used by the hero of time long ago during his battle with Ganon. Using them now, Link delivers true death to the Phantom. And with its departure, the final door is unlocked. He has a final set of stairs to climb before meeting the Evil One again. It's his last chance to turn back, to change his mind, or to prepare. But he is as ready as he'll ever be, and confident that he has everything he'll need to succeed against whatever lies ahead. Beyond the final doors is a large open room. A bed rests at the center, with Tetra sleeping peacefully upon it and Ganon at its side. He too recognizes her only as Zelda. It's all he's ever known this girl to be. And though Link draws his weapon, ready to fight, Ganon tells him to not be so hasty. This is not the rampaging monster of ages past. He tells the boy that he can see the girl's dream, that it's oceans, oceans, that none can swim across, that yield no fish to catch. The world the gods delivered them after the Great Flood. Ganondorf has only heard what became of this world from what the King of Red Lions said, that the gods sealed Hyrule away, left people behind, scattered across handfuls of islands, drifting and isolated, forgotten. He questions what they could possibly achieve, and he's not wrong. The goddesses killed the world to stop a single man that they could not or would not contain, him. He tells Link that he's been waiting for him, and he asks the hero to not let him down. He's going to test the limits of courage by sending his final and worst creation to confront him, his puppet. Ganon takes the sleeping princess, Tetra, ZELDA, and leaves the hero to fight for his life. The first form of the puppet is a piggish creature. It moves in ways that are hard to track and move around. Ultimately, he needs to hit the blue ball on its tail with light arrows, but it's defensive against him and it's mobile with its strings. Link can limit the puppet's mobility by using his boomerang to cut its strings, but many of them are so far away that the weapon can have trouble reaching them in a timely manner. All the while, the puppet is taking swings at Link and tracking his movements as well, actively trying to dish out damage. Landing 3 hits takes him perhaps a bit longer than it should have, but defeating the puppet rewards him with a surprise. Phase 2. It reforms itself into something spider-like, with its vulnerable spot located on the back of its body. It pulls itself up to the top of the room, spins wildly in circles, and with its legs spread out, falls onto the ground below to crush him. But if Link watches the reflective surface he's walking on, and if he can be quick about things, he can rush to the back of the spider to avoid getting crushed and quickly hit the blue sphere. This round takes some luck. As the spider is huge, it drops quickly, and the room itself can take time to run across, but it's far easier than Phase 1. 3 hits it takes, and then another unpleasant surprise. Phase 3. This is the most chaotic and difficult of the forms the puppet will take. It's a fast, insect-like form that seems to randomly zigzag all around the room. Link manages to hit the blue ball on its tail a few times with little trouble, and then it starts dropping little creatures that slow Link down. He has to shake them off. They limit his ability to fight back, and the puppet starts moving incredibly fast. It's electrified, it beelines for Link to knock him down. It's definitely something special. Link does take the puppet down after a few very satisfying long-range arrow shots, and thankfully, there's no other phase. This is the end of the puppet. Courage has proved itself. Ganon himself calls down to the hero of the winds to acknowledge his success, calling him the hero of time reborn. He invites Link to join him atop the tower. Their time has finally come. Slowly, he makes the climb alone. There are plenty of chances to restock on supplies on his way up. He'll be facing Ganon well prepared. When he emerges into the open air of Hyrule, he's again met with peace. Ganon is simply waiting, looking out over the land. He tells the boy of his home, the Gerudo Desert, where he was a king. During the day, the heat and the wind felt like it was searing the world, and at night, the cold pierced their homes. It was a dead place where they were forced to be, yet over the green fields of Hyrule, those same winds didn't bring suffering like it did to the Gerudo. And he confesses that back then, he coveted those winds. Them meeting like this is fate, he knows. That he would be the reason the Triforce comes together again. He believes it is his fate that he will be the one whose wish is granted. That he is the one whose heart is balanced now. Then the gods will have no choice but to return. Ganondorf does not rush the boy with a weapon. He approaches with his fists with astounding speed, and he quickly disarms the hero, and then he knocks him down. He is truly not the being from the legends anymore. He tells Link that he's not going to kill him. He doesn't need to be afraid. He just wants the Triforce of Courage. He picks the boy up, and as the now dominant power between the 3 of them, takes wisdom and courage. The 3 pieces of the Triforce are finally brought together for the first time since the Hero of Time. Ganondorf makes his wish loudly known, but he does not place his hand on the Triforce. He tells the gods to hear him, that he wishes for the lands of Hyrule to be exposed to the sun once more, for Hyrule to be given to him. But another has already placed their hand upon the relic. In very oolong fashion, the king has beaten Ganondorf to his own wish. The king of Hyrule knows the rules. It's he who touches it will have whatever he desires granted, not he who monologues the best or he who wishes the loudest. So the king wishes for hope for these children, that the old land of Hyrule be washed away, and that their destinies all be fulfilled. May Ganondorf drown with Hyrule. This wish will be granted, The goddesses break apart the Triforce, and waters begin to flood into the frozen lands. Ganondorf will never have his kingdom, and he will never go home. The calm restraint breaks, and the old madness of the Gerudo King starts to show. So long as he had a reason and belief that he would succeed, he could maintain decorum. But with all of that stripped away, he laughs maniacally at the sky. He questions aloud that these children will have a future, and Tetra asks him what he's laughing about. She's finally awake and on her feet, and she tells Link that they need to get out of here. But Ganondorf has broken, and he's going to show them exactly what kind of a future he thinks they should have. Ganondorf is a remarkable fighter, far better in technique than Link himself. Tetra is able to assist on the field by shooting light arrows at opportune times to stun the Gerudo King, and without her the man would be nigh unhittable. He seems widely unconcerned with Link as they exchange sword hits, at times even stopping to laugh at the boy, despite it making him vulnerable to attack. The man is half out of his mind from what's happening here, making him unpredictable. After a few hits from the two young ones, Ganon gets tired of Tetra's interference and charges the girl, delivering one hell of a backhand to her. And he could have run her through, but even now he shows restraint. His eyes are truly set on Link. That's the one he wants to kill. For a while, the one-on-one goes in Ganondorf's favor, as Link just cannot seem to get a hit on the man, until he learns his moveset and finds an opening, just one opening. He has to time it so he can drop his own defenses at the end of a combo and roll behind Ganon for a series of attacks. It's the only opening he's going to get. After a few minutes, Tetra is back on her feet and starts trying to assist again, but Ganondorf is so hard to land hits on. The only thing that's really going to stop him in his tracks are those arrows. Tetra comes up with something devious. She gets straight across from Link and she waits for Ganondorf to go airborne, then shoots at Link's shield to ricochet the arrows off of it, back at Ganon. It takes a number of tries to get the aiming right, but when it finally does hit, the arrow stuns him. Link takes the chance to run at him, dodges his wild swings, and he plunges the Master Sword straight through his forehead. There's a long, stunned silence between them, like they can't believe this just happened. And then Ganon gives a slight laugh, and his last words are that he feels the wind is blowing. Finally, after hundreds of years of struggle and suffering, Ganondorf has died, not banished, imprisoned, or drowned. His body is turned to stone, where the Master Sword will remain embedded. Daphnis No Hansen Hyrule now wishes to give his confession, and time is running out. He has lived with and faced his regrets. He wishes he could make different choices. Every day of his life, he has thought about his old kingdom. He is bound to it, much like Ganondorf was. But they should live for a different future, not bound to their pasts and their mistakes. Not much remains of this world, but this was the only one their ancestors were able to leave for them, and he begs their forgiveness. Tetra asks the king if he would like to come with them, to search the seas for the next land that will become the new Hyrule, and the prospect does make him smile. But that will not be Hyrule. It will be their land. His family, his kingdom, his home was lost hundreds of years ago, while he lingered on, waiting for this time to come so he could serve as the king of Red Lions. He would like to pass from this world, so he will not be returning to the surface. Link and Tetra are safely whisked away, while the last king of Hyrule passes with the waves. It's not long at all before the two of them are found by search parties. Prince Kamali himself and Tetra's crew, who also still happen to have custody of Errol, and the sages have also returned to the surface to search for them. No longer are their prayers needed, as the Master Sword now rests again, for this era at least. They too will be able to return home to whatever journeys they desire. They also find Link's sailboat, the now lifeless Red Lions. He sails it back home to Outset, alongside Tetra's pirate ship. They need to get Errol home, safe where she belongs. But after all of this, Link can't remain. Grandma and Errol are sad to see him go. But if there is another land out there, another place like Hyrule, they need to find it. A place where there's so much land, he can't even see the ocean anymore.